What is up, everybody? Solomon here. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic weekend. Wanted to do what I feel is a very important video, kind of about all of the train wrecks that have been going on across a lot of these high APY slash node slash DAO projects recently. I certainly think that there's a lot to be said about not vetting or knowing as a community who are some of the founders in these projects, and a lot of these things happen through background checks, through transparency, etc. Because we will see very shortly here that, you know, the phraseology around some anonymous name that somebody is using that essentially is committed 2 felonies during that person's past is just very, very frightening, especially when they're dealing with hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars of community funds within treasuries of these projects, etc., etc. First and foremost, I did want to get into this. So I talked about this yesterday, essentially Google Cloud creating their own blockchain division. Now, if you start really looking at Google, you start to see some things with Hedera Hashgraph that kind of, well, at least for me, it kind of makes me raise my eyebrows. Now, I will say that the gentleman that is in this initiative, the head is going to be Rich Weidman. So the new digital assets division at Google Cloud is going to be headed by Rich Weidman. Maybe that's probably mispronounced. I think it's probably Rich Widman. A well-known technology lawyer who has previously worked with Google as product counsel and with Hedera Hashgraph as well. Now, this is from CryptoPotato.com, so obviously vet out your sources. I'm not saying that CryptoPotato.com is a vetted source, but I did present that yesterday with the Google Cloud announcement. But if you look a little bit further here, you can see that within, this is a Hedera Council meeting all the way back in June 3rd of 2020, and I will show something from hBAR as well. So Google and the attendees from Google, and we can see Rich Widman again right there, along with the Hedera officers. Now, Coinman, the hBAR, obviously on his research game, very, very much so within the Hedera Hashgraph community, and a monster. I certainly recommend giving him a follow on Twitter at @hBarbarian. Presenting today that Richard Widman, the new head of strategy for digital assets at Google, has been present at 9 Hedera Governing Council meetings. See 4 examples from council minutes below. This man is intimately involved with Hedera Hashgraph and hBAR, and he is an honorary hBarbarian. We do know, obviously, that Google sits on the Governing Council of Hedera Hashgraph. I will show you that real quick, just in case you are not aware. And there's some monsters. I consistently talk about them, but we can see Google right in here. Fidelity Information Services, Boeing, Avery Dennison, Shinhan, Standard Bank, blah, 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 blah. I mean, just insane heavy hitters. And right now, they're 25 council members out of 39 council members deep, so there's still quite a bit to announce. Moving forward here, and I wanted to give a shout out to Kleis from my Patreon, because the dude is consistently just doing his digging and research. Let's never forget how big XDC, at least in my opinion, is going to be, not financial advice, and the Flare Finance partnership that happened the middle of last year. We all know Flare Finance, what they're doing within the Flare, and you know, even tying a lot of stuff into the Songbird networks. It's going to be really interesting, and I think Zinfin's a beast. So, and I always forget about some of these smaller details. So if you haven't seen this, smaller details that could play dividends in the end, obviously. Also saw this today. BSTX receives SEC approval for blockchain-powered securities exchange. Blockchain technology will now be powering a fully automated national exchange for the first time. So you can read through this, certainly. I tried looking to see if there was any sort of a individuals that are associated with BSTX, like having other sort of relationships. Didn't have a ton of time to reach into it, because I think that there's always incentivization based on things that are getting or not getting legal regulatory clarity in this space. This is kind of what I wanted to get into in the bread and butter of this video, though. So this is at Midas the Fool. If you don't follow this dude, give him a follow. And this is some of the biggest DeFi protocols are helmed by a known criminal and scammer, Michael Petrin, who owns $400 million plus. Now, I guess before I get into this, I do have to give a caveat where I did not do this research. So this gentleman put together this research. It's been spread like wildfire, obviously. I would suggest to vet it out. But I'm going to read through it because I think it's going to show dividends about kind of where this market's at, what the expectation of transparency and potential vetting for a lot of these projects is, because it's not that high. And if you look at something like Time exploded to, I don't know if it hit $1 billion market cap, but I know it was really, really, really close. And the price action has went down just drastically since then. And Time is not the only asset involved. So Time, Rep Memo, Spell, and this is the guy, I guess, 0x Sifu here. And from my understanding, Danielle has 100% been given almost the shirt off of the back to try to help a lot of these problems. But we'll read through here real quick. So Michael Petrin, who owns $400 million plus, I will try to explain the insane crime drama unfolding regarding these assets and these individuals. Number two, less than 48 hours ago, now this was like 2 days ago, I think, the Wonderland _FI protocol was under attack. Most seem to believe it was a liquidation cascade set off to target Danielle, who lost 8 figures in the attack. The attack was done while Danielle slept. Dump scene below. Number three, at this point, Danielle probably has tons of enemies, so it could have been anyone. I'm sure there are those who don't want him in charge of SushiSwap and others who are angry he left Trader Joe _XYZ within the Avalanche ecosystem, but at this point, some are wondering, was it an inside job? Terrible loss for many. His plan for Wonderland debacle was to merge it with Spell, etc., etc. Though Danielle was a wonderful dev, and this is where it gets interesting, he needed other devs to help him. This one individual dev helps him with Spell, Squirrel Crypto, and Andre Cronje and him have a new project as well. But 0x Sifu is his CFO or Chief Financial Officer for Wonderland. Real name of 0x Sifu is Omar Danani, a known criminal and scammer. The rap sheet includes things like credit/bank fraud in 2005, things like theft/burglary /more computer fraud in 2007. 2018, him and his co-founder partner lost access to $100 million worth of a Canadian exchange users' funds, and the co-founder has now been quote-unquote missing after a trip to India. Now, what I will say is that this news leaked a couple of days ago. Danny stating he didn't know at first, but once he found out, believing that people can change. And, I think that out of all from what I've heard, this Danny or Danielle has done a lot of things for the community, trying to recoup funds and things like that. But as soon as a head in charge of a project, anything like that, where you find out, and there's ways to solve this, that some of the individuals that potentially are handling finances, and I am sure that the CFO was handling finances and had been charged with things like credit/bank fraud or theft or burglary, I mean, that's an immediate no-go. And the way that you solve that is by making, not only making individuals docs that are in charge of funds, but making individuals do background checks on themselves and fully, not doxing themselves maybe to the community, but adding insurance mechanisms such as that as far as launching a project is concerned. And that's a gigantic mistake. And I'm all for people changing as well. But when you're dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars, there are other people that I would like to be in charge of that, regardless of how much somebody has changed. And that's just me personally, especially in a space that is overly rotten with scams and criminals and rug pulls and all these different things. This was a mistake, in my opinion. And then I think it's also interesting because there was another one out there, Thor, that I had looked into, and I was going to actually end up buying around $80 or $70 or something like that. They have NFTs that essentially operate with the node rewards as well. I didn't do it, but what we did see a couple days ago as well is that there's going to be a big drop in rewards as well as maintenance fees being introduced, all in the name of sustainability, but that's fantastic. And SPQR Lee, or SP Lee, if you've been around in this space for a long time, understands that this guy knows his stuff, and his research has been unparalleled, in my opinion. Put him up there with some of the best people in the XRP community. It would be useful for projects to run their sustainability numbers before they go live. To be totally honest, I'm fed up with projects being reactive rather than proactive in this space. Definitely not getting any of my money. Certainly not going to recommend any of you buying an asset anywhere near all-time high. But I will say one of the protocols, this is Nest, so this is essentially like hedge fund management through a decentralized protocol. and getting more and more decentralized, hopefully. But again, don't buy at all-time high. I've been saying that for probably a month at this point in time, and not financial advice. But what I would recommend is like these guys have a Discord. Like I've been in this since nearly the beginning. Certainly had an opportunity to participate. Was never given anything from this project, but did have the opportunity to participate based on meeting with the individuals, and certainly took my opportunity. And that is what I've been doing since day one. And a lot of people, this is really interesting to me too, because you can't chart anything that's been around for like a month. But if you look at charts on all of these aspects, like a lot of people say that charting and TA, and it really is, it's based on people's emotion. When you deal with assets that have been around for a lot longer with a lot more liquidity, there are mechanisms that a lot of these traders use, but it gets a little bit, they're more reliable, but trading people's emotion is questionable at that point in time for me. I think at the basis of any sort of TA does come emotion. And if you look at these things, like there's no way that this is not that. And, you can see a previous all-time high and then a breakout and then touching base on that previous all-time high right here. Now a new all-time high and the correction down. Here's the previous all-time high, holding support, a breakout, new all-time high. If this is sustainable, I would suspect that 340 range, maybe that 360 range, potentially even one more touchdown to that 270 range. But I really think, things don't go up forever. At some point, there is sustainability that comes in, and I'm really curious with something like Fire, because I'm looking forward to bringing Luke and bringing Eric on YouTube and having the ability for people to potentially ask questions during a live stream, or for them to talk about the project as well. I always get super wary of stuff just because the price keeps going up, and it's like, man, I keep saying don't buy at all-time high, but the price keeps going up. Again, I will tell you again, don't buy at all-time high, because I don't think that everything goes up straight forever. But yeah, pay attention to what Fire is doing. Like I said, if you want to give them a follow. Again, I'm not being paid by Phoenix whatsoever. I just think that talking about time, talking about Spell, talking about Ohm, I have to talk about Fire that came out about a month ago, which I stated publicly that I supported as well. But again, do your own due diligence and research. 8,000 nests now. I hate telling people to even look at something near all-time high, but they have Discord live chats every Sunday if you guys are interested. Super excited for Hedera and the governing council members that we have yet to hear of. Very interesting to me that Richard Widman certainly has been present from hBAR Bearing. We did see eight Hedera council meetings, I believe, that he was present for. And yeah, we're just going to continue playing the game. Again, always do your due diligence and research for any project that you're potentially wanting to invest in or even look into in this space. And the only person that can do the due diligence and that research that should be of any worth whatsoever is yourself, because you're the only one that has to end up vetting out the bucks and trying to invest into this very high risk asset space. But if I don't know, it only takes a little bit of research, I think. And yeah, kudos to @Midas the Fool, assuming that this research is actually correct here. Again, try to vet that out as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit longer. I did say that if I found things, I would want to present them to you. And I think that certainly that presentation of making sure that you're doing your own research is a very valuable thing in this space, because not a lot of people are doing it. I hope you guys have a good one. Have a good rest of your weekend. If there's news to present, I will certainly do so. All right, later.